Good morning, good morning. Welcome to our Big C meeting today. My name is Cookie Kennedy. I'm the mayor of Indian Rocks Beach and the president of the Big C. I'm so happy to see everybody here. And at this time, I'd like you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll start with roll call, and Ms. Beckman, would you like to start?
Sure. Kathleen Beckman, City of Clearwater.
Tyler Payne, Mayor of Treasure Island.
Diane Thashir, Vice Mayor of Indian Shores.
Jim Rostak, Mayor, Madeira Beach.
I already told you, Cookie Kennedy, Mayor of Indian Rocks Beach.
All right, it's on. Okay, Rich Cariello, I'm the Commissioner of Reddington Beach, and I'm filling in for Dave Will, who is the Mayor of Reddington Beach.
Steve Bloom, Mayor of Bel Air Shore.
Good morning, Dave Gaddis, Mayor of Bel Air Beach.
Lisa Hendrickson, Mayor of Reddington Shores.
Bill Queen, Mayor of North Reddington Beach, and let me take this opportunity to thank Madeira Beach for hosting the meeting for us, and thank Mary and Keith for setting up for us. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I believe we have one more person.
Sorry, I'm a little tardy. I'm Vice Mayor of St. Pete Beach. I was filling in, and so I was in the cheap seats. Didn't know I got a special chair. Thank you.
And what's your name?
Rich Lorenzen. Thank you.
And we're going to go out in the audience.
Reddington Beach. Mike Howard, Indian Shores Council-elect.
Give it to him, let him pass it down.
Test, test, test. Tim Johnson, Tampa Bay Beach's Board of Directors and Waterfront Realty.
Good morning. Gina Johnson, Waterfront Realty.
Good morning, Eddie McGeehan, Commissioner of Madeira Beach.
Good morning. Anne Marie Brooks, Commissioner, Madeira Beach, District 4.
Jerry Newton, resident, Indian Rocks Beach.
Janet Wilson, Commissioner, Indian Rocks Beach.
Denise Hausberg, I'm currently a commissioner in Indian Rocks Beach, and next I'll be taking Cookie's position as mayor of Indian Rocks Beach.
Tavi Lawson, Commercial Real Estate, Polaris Realty.
Jill Silverboard, Pinellas County.
Barry Burton, Pinellas County.
Lauren Kornichuk, City Clerk of Indian Rocks Beach.
Hi, Jessica Morrow, new aide to Commissioner Kathleen Peters, BCC.
Good morning, CJ Hoyt, Town of Reddington Shores, Commissioner.
Christy Herrig, Town of Reddington Shores.
Mike McLaughlin, Town Administrator, Reddington Shores.
Larry Shear, Commissioner, Pinellas Suncoast Fire and Rescue District.
Ray Kerr, Vice Mayor of Madeira Beach.
Phil Hanna, resident, Indian Rocks Beach.
R.B. Johnson, resident, Indian Rocks Beach.
Ron Saker, president of the Historic Museum in Indian Rocks Beach.
Fred Irwin, Sand Key Civic Association.
Good morning. Chiquita Clark, Duke Energy.
Joe Farrell, Pinellas Realtor Organization.
Kathy, Cookie's cousin, here to watch my amazing cousin from Chicago.
Awesome.
Hey, Vince Nowicki, candidate for Pinellas County Commission, District 3 at large.
And I guess last but certainly not least, Barry Rubin, Treasure Island, Madeira Beach Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, not right. I'm sorry, Chief.
Sorry. Clint Belk, Fire Chief, Madeira Beach Fire Department.
John Bishop, Pinellas County, Public Works.
Oh, Robin Gomez, Madeira Beach City Manager, jogger this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. Okay, real quickly, we're going to do a recognition of Mary Beth Henderson, who was one of our mayors for quite a long time. And I have a plaque that I'm going to give to Lisa Henderson. And what it says is, thank you for your leadership, dedication, and many valuable contributions throughout your tenure as mayor of Reddington Shores from 2014 to 2023, the Barrier Island Governmental Council. And if you would give this to her, I would appreciate it, okay? We have Barry Burton, our county administrator, here today. I had asked as many of whoever could come from the county commission today if they'd like to say a few words, and I know that you have another meeting, so if you want to jump up and say hello and tell us what's interesting going on.
Hello. I didn't know I was going to speak, but I'm certainly available to answer any questions. Obviously, beach nourishment's on top of everybody's mind and our mind too. We have John Bishop and Jill Silverboard here. There is activity, just so you know. There's a lot of different paths we're taking because as we've seen over the last several years, no one path has really been successful. So we've got multiple prongs we're trying to address this, including Senator Rubio and Scott both sponsoring modifications to the word of language. That usually is a bipartisan package. It always scares me when they say that it's going to be dependent upon Congress passing something, but it is typically a bipartisan package. There's modifications in that would help with this issue. We don't know where that is. There's also a modification to an appropriation bill that would then, again, help part of this issue. So we've got a couple of different avenues we're working on. We're also working with both Florida Association of Counties and the National Association of Counties, making this a far bigger issue because it impacts so many people nationwide. There was a recent article where a general for the South Atlantic District made a comment that this has to be fixed. That's at least, it's got attention because, we're just kind of the first ones out of the gate. There's others that have their projects coming up, and so it's gaining momentum, but, we're still waiting for that fix. So I don't have an answer here for you today. Obviously, we've got that as top of our mind, obviously, with the beach nourishment funding provided by our tourism development tax. Those funds are there. You've seen what happened with the dune restoration and what we've been able to do. But, we've got a lot more to do. We got to talk about on easements. We've got to talk about a permanent solution. Having gaps in the sand serves no one. And we have that today, with the dunes, and those are big issues. They're controversial issues because they impact people, whether you're a business owner or a condo that has a view, but your neighbor down the street, if that water comes through, it's going to be impacted. So we've got a lot of work to do, but it'd be nice to get some clear direction out of Congress before we have those types of conversations and collectively come up with solutions that we can all live with. But that's a little bit. I've got people that can answer technical issues here, but be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions?
Yeah, Barry, overall, so are we prepared, is the county prepared if this doesn't happen on a national level? Are we prepared to do it ourselves on a county level?
Yeah, it's a great question, Mayor. The expense, would be astronomical. So could we do it? Yes. The question is how many storms are we going to get? And nobody can answer that. So, could we do the beach nourishment, deplete the reserves? We have very strong reserves. Thank you for tourism because, we do have strong reserves. But if we got hit 2 or 3 times and we saw what happened last year to our dunes and that occurred 3 or 4 times, then that model goes out the window, And so we really have to, these are some tough conversations that we're going to have. And I think it's best to have those conversations once we have a direction out of the federal government. Because, and we've talked about this with the commissioners, and we're all in sync, staff and commissioners, in terms of once we get some clear direction, let's have some community conversations. Let's invite the residents to be part of that, and the mayors and commissioners up and down, the Gulf, and let's talk about the options we have. Because, we really are in this together. But there's no reason in scaring people about this alternative, that alternative, until we get this issue solved at the national level. I mean, you know, I don't want that to happen, but even if they would allow us to fill in gaps where we don't have easements, well, then that reduces the cost by over 50%. I mean, you know, so that changes those financial forecast models significantly. You know, the question is, you can't necessarily use the data and the storms that have occurred over the last 20 years as a forecast for the future. And that's the unknown.
Right. I guess what I'm looking for is in between the national being fixed and where we're at now. So what you're saying is we're going to wait to see what happens on a national level first?
Well, first, we didn't wait, you know, and Kelly Levy and John Bishop busted their rear ends and got dune restoration in record time.
Right.
Record time, you know. But, you know, as we've seen, you know, but we're also doing the design. So Sand Key's under design right now, okay? Full beach nourishment, because we want to have the designs ready when we solve this at the federal level. Okay? So we're not waiting. We're moving, and even if it was solved tomorrow, we still have to do the whole design, which takes over a year. And so we're moving forward on all the fronts, and hopefully inside this time period, we'll have some better clarity about where we're going to go, you know, in the future.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Kathleen.
I have a question. It's not about beach renourishment, but sort of tied into it. I want to applaud the county for all the work you all have done to reduce your community rating system number to a 2, one of only 4 in the nation. It is phenomenal. And I would like to know, number one, how you are spreading that word throughout our county about how other municipalities can work to get their community rating number lower. And so I have Fred Irwin is there from Sand Key Civic Association that wanted the name of someone at the county level that might come in and give a talk about that. I know I was on a webinar and it was phenomenal, but the lower your number, the lower your flood insurance is for cities, for businesses, and anyone who lives in that jurisdiction. And so our county residents and businesses pay lower flood insurance rates than those that are not in unincorporated.
Is it 40% lower? What is it?
I think it's about.
It says that's not my area. So, okay, it was 40% lower when we were a 4. Now we've got that down to a 3. So I don't know what that is. It's Lisa Foster that runs that program, and we're very blessed to have really good technical staff at the county to be able to work these programs and improve that rating, because it does help significantly for our residents.
Barry, what is her name and what's her position in case anyone wants to get in from the?
It's Lisa Foster. She's our floodplain manager. Is that her title? Yep. Okay. Floodplain administrator, and she works for Kelly Levy out of Public Works.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, of
Steve
course.
Bloom, Bel Air Shore Mayor. Regarding the beach nourishment, have they done any, has either the Corps done any research or studies regarding installing jetties perpendicular to the beach or anything to that, rather than just do everything parallel and then have the first storm take out half of it, or the beach renourishment? Has there been any studies done?
Well, we can do studies, okay? I mean, you can do a study, we can do a study.
No, I didn't know if any had been done.
No, and they just...
There have been, can I interject?
Okay, go ahead.
So for our project in Treasure Island and St. Pete Beach, I would assume it's the same for Sand Key. As part of the Army Corps engineers' designs and process of designing the recommended project, they do talk about all the alternative methods that they could use, and those are explained in the bid packages or the studies that are published. I have a good summary of those from my Public Works Director that I'd be happy to share with everyone, and it talks about jetties, it talks about groins, it talks about everything and why they recommend not doing that as opposed to beach nourishment.
I just look at the erosion that we have with just a winter storm, and, nobody knows what will happen when a hurricane comes, but we know it's not good. But just long-term, looking at a combination of things that might, anyway, just that.
Yeah, what the mayor said is correct. Jill was yelling me in at the background. Yes, the Aptum study. And so I forgot all about that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Barry.
Okay.
Jill, did you want to say anything at all today? Okay, all right, thank you.
All right,
for coming.
thank you.
All right. Jessica, I want to introduce you today. You are our Chair, Kathleen Peters' aide, and I'd like you to come up, and if there's anything that you want to add today. I did invite some of the county commissioners. Some are coming today and some are coming next month.
Thank you so much. This is day 6 for me, so nothing to add immediately. We're still getting everything settled. We are working internally with your team, Cookie, to see, the representation from Pinellas County commissioners here. But projects for me, I'm happy to stick around after and make sure you guys all have my proper contact information. But we'll keep you all posted. And
I like you already. Thank you for coming
so
today.
much.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any questions for Kathleen?
Good.
I mean Jessica. Okay, good. She's Kathleen Peters' aide. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank
All right.
you.
All right. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Move to approve.
That was Mayor Queen and Mayor Gaddis as a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We will move now to the approval of the minutes, and I will give that to, you're going to do those today, correct?
The treasurer's report?
I mean,
No,
Jim?
just move to approve the minutes.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second, well, yes.
Okay.
Motion to.
Motion
move.
to approve.
Second.
Okay. Now, did we get that? Bill Queen? And,
Rich Cariello.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Now we'll go on to the approval of the January 2024 Treasurer's Report.
Okay, I'll present it. It's in the packet. You can follow along with me. So this is the Big C Treasurer's Report, January 2024. Opening balance as of January 1st was $967.51. We're not showing any expenditures or disbursements. And the closing balance is $967.51. And I have the information from the bank, and the account information and what we show on our books is correct. So,
Move to approve.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mayor Queen, okay. Good. We'll move on to the digital correspondence. Would be digital invoice 33181 in the amount of $9.50 for updates on the website, okay? Next, we're going to, so because I have a short time as the president of the Big C, I decided that I would love for you to see a killer video that was made, and I'd like to, at this time, it's 9 minutes, have our previous, RB was very gracious, but RB was one of our longest-serving mayors in Indian Rocks Beach who was involved with this. And we have Phil Hanna, who is also a commissioner and vice mayor of Indian Rocks Beach, and Ron Sacra. I'd like you guys to come up and let's move this along with our video of the shifting sands and give just a couple-minute briefing on what it's about.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, so what this is a project that the Indian Rocks Historical Museum had been planning for a number of years, and we finally got around to bringing it to fruition. And the idea was to put a video together that talked about Barrier Island formation, sort of focused on the geology, so to speak, of Barrier Islands, how they form, how they move around, the shifting sands, basically, of our communities out here. And even though it's focused on Indian Rocks Beach, some of it obviously can be applied to other Barrier Island communities. And so we brought a lot of information together and kind of compressed it into a very small package, because this is something that could be way longer and can go into a lot more detail and various elements of it. But with the help of Phil Hanna, who's the guy who really did the work with the videos and whatnot, we were able to put this together into like a 9-minute and 30-second package to talk about a lot of different things. But like I said, this is a topic that I'm sure John could go into in infinite detail, and I could as well, talking about some of the specific areas that we address and little bits and pieces on this video. And I just want to tell John ahead of time, mea culpa for any minor inaccuracies that might have crept in during the production of it. But I believe it's largely, it covers the territory pretty well and gives you a good sense of something that a lot of people don't know about how the barrier islands move around, how they formed over the years. And, I just think it's pretty interesting. We've gotten a lot of good feedback on it from people who've seen it at the museum. Phil.
What he said. Thank you. We appreciate you having us down today. We've been very pleased with how the video has been accepted. It took about 6 months from the beginning till when it was completed in late October. Had a lot of fun doing it, and I learned a tremendous amount. And the feedback that we're getting from people who see it at the Historical Museum is, wow, I didn't know that. So hopefully you guys will have the same feeling. Okay, I think we'll run this over and try it. Thank you.
Our Earth is estimated to be 4.5 billion years old, plus or minus 50 million years. But who's counting? About 71% of the Earth's surface is water, and the oceans hold about 96.5% of all Earth's water. Roughly 3.5 million miles of rivers and tributaries in the United States connect us to the sea, even if we live far inland. So how did Florida get its beautiful sandy beaches? The Florida coastline along the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico was very different 12,000 years ago. The sea level was much lower than it is today, and as a result, the Florida Peninsula was more than twice as large as it is now. Florida's west coast extended out more than 100 miles than it does today. Florida actually sits on a limestone bed that's thousands of feet thick. Much of the sand on Florida's beaches is made up of quartz crystals produced by the weathering of continental land masses like the Appalachian Mountains. The quartz and other materials wash down America's great rivers into the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico, where it was carried onto the beaches by water currents and waves. At the mouth of a river, the fast-flowing water slows abruptly, and the well-rounded sand drops out. Larger rocks and pebbles were already left behind upstream, while smaller sediment like silt and clay continued to be swept along by the weakened current and were deposited further from the shore. The barrier islands off Pinellas County are part of the West Central Barrier Chain, a string of islands that hug the coast from Anclote Key off of Tarpon Springs in the north to Marco Island just south of Naples. Indian Rocks Beach is situated on Sand Key, the longest of these barrier islands. By their very nature, barrier islands consistently change their shape, growing, shrinking, and even subdividing. The movement of sand is the lifeblood of a barrier island, and that formation would not take place if it weren't for the anchoring effect of the growing dune vegetation. R.B. Johnson explains.
The dune vegetation that you see in this area is vitally important for preserving a beach, because without the dune vegetation, a beach would simply blow and wash away. The various kinds of vegetation, everything from sea oats to vines to shrubs, even flowers, cactus, what they do is they anchor the sand in place on a beach. Essentially, the sand blows around the plants grow up out of the sand, and dunes form, and the plants anchor by putting their roots out, down, out, around. They anchor themselves in place and anchor the beach in place.
One amazing example of the natural creation of a barrier island is Three Rooker Island, located about 5 miles off the city of Tarpon Springs, Florida. It's only accessible by boat. Interestingly, what began as a small sandbar nearly 50 years ago has transformed itself into this. The island was built entirely by nature, with no human involvement. Three Rooker is home to hundreds of birds, and from this aerial perspective, one can see the various stages of its development. The accumulation of wind-blown sand around these plants allows a barrier island to form, growing both vertically and horizontally. More and more vegetation creates a relatively stable line of dunes that prevent waves from regularly washing across the island. As the dunes mature in size and age, shrubs and trees start growing in the wave-protected area behind them, eventually forming a maritime forest. Sable palms, live oaks, pine, and cedar trees are all the mainstays of these barrier island forests. This amazing creation is nearly 2.6 miles in length, and it's still growing. Sand on barrier island beaches is constantly shifting to maintain its width seaward of the dunes. After hurricanes and other events, the beach as we know it can become eroded. In the case of Hurricane Idalia, Indian Rocks Beach lost around 25% of its protective dune system. But man, money, and machines can accelerate beach replenishment through a process called nourishment. This is a fascinating undertaking, as sand is typically barged in, trucked in, or pumped directly from a borrow pit some 10 miles offshore via a sluice and pipe system. The result is a new beach, nearly 300 feet wide. Indian Rocks Beach is the headland of Pinellas County. A headland is a natural elevation, especially a rocky one that juts out into the sea or body of water. Here are a few examples of headlands. In Indian Rocks Beach, as waves move to shore and meet the headland, the water divides, sending not only the water, but the sand it carries both north and south along our west coast. Just another example of shifting sands. Barrier islands are separated by tidal inlets, usually called passes. The width of these inlets and the swiftness of the water passing through them are determined mainly by the size of the water bodies between the barrier island and the mainland. The larger the water body, the more impressive the inlet. Our barrier island, Sand Key, is bordered by Clearwater Pass to the north and Johns Pass, established in 1848, to its south. Left to themselves, most passes open and close over time and even shift their location. Still, Clearwater Pass and Johns Pass are artificially kept open and in place by man-made structure to allow for continuous navigation by area boaters. Our barrier island was once divided into a small pass in Indian Shores called Indian Pass. For years, it struggled to stay open due to the relatively small size of the Narrows, the water body between the island and the mainland. It was filled in nearly a century ago to create a continuous travel path along the island's length. The first extensive remodeling of the barrier island landscape began in the 1930s, when a series of dredging projects transformed the intercoastal waterway. Mudflats and mangrove islands were covered and connected with fill material that dredges scooped up from the bottom of the waterway. The result was a network of sea-walled land fingers with adjoining canals, providing room for hundreds of new homes and allowing for a surge of new residents who could live where there was no land before. But it also had a detrimental effect on the natural environment of the waterway. Mangrove fish nurseries were eradicated and water quality decayed. On the beach side of the barrier islands, man-made development was also affecting the natural landscape. The earliest structures, mainly cottages and houses, were built as close as possible to the Gulf of Mexico, right on top of the frontal dunes. The dunes are the island's first line of defense from storm-created waves. Starting in the 1950s, property property owners attempted to protect their structures by installing seawalls on the western edge of the dunes. The first were made of wood, and when storms destroyed them, they were rebuilt using concrete. The unfortunate effect of all of this armoring of the shoreline resulted in accelerated beach erosion caused by wave action interacting with the hard, unnatural vertical surfaces. In many places, including Indian Rocks Beach, wooden structures called groins were placed at regular intervals perpendicular to the shoreline to stabilize the beach. But this technique met with mixed results. Our beautiful Earth has undergone many changes throughout its 4.5 billion plus years. It's been home to all kinds of life forms. We're still learning more and more about this wonderful planet each day. But one thing is constant. The sands will always be shifting.
How about that? I thought that was great. Well, thank you for coming today and doing that. We appreciate it. We can always reach out to them. I did send it over to Brian Loack at Visit St. Pete Clearwater, maybe to put on one of the websites if they felt it was a good program for video for people who were coming and wanted to know more about the beaches. So we'll see what happens. Any questions? Everybody good on that? We will move down to old business. Is there any old business that needs to come up? Mayor Queen, do you want to, do you want to say anything about picking Jim as our new treasurer?
Yeah, the committee met and recommended that Jim Rostack be the new secretary treasurer, so that's our recommendation.
Okay. And congratulations on your new position on the Big C, Jim.
Thank you kindly.
Also,
Does that not need to be voted on?
Yeah, you got to vote on it now.
okay, I'm going to need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we make Jim Rostack our secretary treasurer for the Big C.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any questions?
Why was that not on the agenda? I don't have any issue with it, but I just.
Well, it was
why
on the
that?
agenda last month to have a committee, and then,
The committee met, picked.
yes,
picked,
it was
and
for last month.
That's our recommendation.
To have the recommendation, and so then the recommendation is made today, okay?
I just didn't know why it wasn't on the agenda.
Yeah.
It was on last time.
All right.
Well, this is our agenda for today, not
Right.
last meeting.
Okay, and so that there isn't any problems, we,
We have a motion and a second.
yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Maybe then we should, we will be needing to have another group meet. And instead of doing it for next month, maybe we should put the group together that'll meet for when my replacement, you know, let's do that.
We'll do that.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Do you want to put a group together so that we know who will be meeting?
You don't have to now. We've got plenty of time to do it, so.
You'll do it in March?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Is there any old business to come before this board? Hearing none, discussion items? Is there any legislative updates? I did see Tony walk in from Commissioner Long's office. Did you want to come up, Tony? Is there anything, or you're good? Okay, all right, thank you. Any other comments made? All right, and with that, there isn't any other legislative updates. We'll start with city events. Mayor Queen?
Everything's quiet in North Reading and Beach.
Lisa?
Ditto.
All quiet in Bel Air Beach.
Bel Air Shores quiet also?
St. Pete Beach, not so quiet. I'm sure everybody's heard by now that we had a pretty interesting vote last night after another marathon session on the Serrata Hotel conditional use permit, which was approved 3-2. But I can tell you a lot of hours were spent on that, a lot of agony and a lot of thinking. So here we are.
Reddington Beach, we have a Mardi Gras event, which was rescheduled for this Saturday. That'll start about 9 a.m. They have a cookout and a golf cart parade around town. So all is welcome to attend.
Well, it's never quiet in Indian Rocks Beach, but all is well. Your turn, Jim.
Madeira Beach, we're kind of busy. Let's see, today we have the Madeira Beach Market that runs from 10 to 2. Please stop by on your way out, and that runs through May. On 3/2, we have the Trash Pirates Monthly Beach Cleanup. 3/9, we have the Citywide Garage Sale. 3/11, we have Kite Day at the Madeira Beach Recreation Center. I believe the first 500 people get a free kite. On 3/14, it starts the Gulf Beaches Rotary Spring Break Festival. Please come out here to Rock Park. 3/21, we have the 13th Annual Great American Grunt Hunt. And then 3/29, we have Final Friday at John's Pass. Something else I'd like to say just for a second. With what happened with the beach renourishment and the beach communities up against the wall, I think Mr. Barry Burton deserves a round of applause for backing us up and helping us out.
Indian Shores is having its annual St. Patrick's Day Festival on March 16th, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Lots of music, Irish beer, and vendors of all stripes. So please come and join us.
Nice. In Treasure Island, we have something going on pretty much every Saturday. The first Saturday, March 2nd, we have the Isle of Palms. It's yard sale season. So we have the Isle of Palms yard sale on March 2nd. And then March 9th, we have a concert in the park called Spring It On with the Black Honkies at 6 p.m. on March 9th. And then we have the Paradise Island yard sale on March 16th and the Sunset Beach yard sale on March 23rd. So if you're trying to find some treasures, come on down to Treasure Island pretty much any Saturday in March.
Great. So there's a number of things going on in Clearwater. Certainly we have Ruth Eckerd Hall and the Sound and Capitol Theater. We have Joe Bonamassa coming March 16th, Air Supplies March 23rd, Alabama's April 5th. The Sugar Sand Festival, a 17-day festival, begins March 29th and goes through April 14th. The theme is Sands of Time, and it's the 10th anniversary. We also have at the Clearwater Historical Society Museum for March is National Women's History Month. We have the Trailblazing Women exhibit that opens for the 7th annual exhibit where we profile women in the greater Clearwater area or Pinellas County that have made a significant difference. And the Phillies are back. They won their first 2 games, opener on Saturday and Sunday. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Kathleen. I would just like to remind all of you that our next meeting is March 27th at 9 a.m., of course, 8:30 breakfast. We hope that you will all be able to attend. I thank you for coming. And with that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. Thank you for coming.